Beard right now?
I mean, I wear my sunglasses at night so I can survive.
Yeah, okay, so welcome to the show, guys. As you can tell, Beard put us on to a dare, and I don't know why I doubted him, so welcome to the show. You got anything else to say, Beard?
Oh, I've got a lot more to say, but it's going to come in a little while.
Oh, I see. So welcome to the Cole Mantell Show. This is Cole Mantell, Podcast 32. He needs no introduction. Justin Duke, a.k.a. Beard on Blast. Auburn
What up?
AD. Hello. Welcome to the party.
Great to be here, man.
And
I'm a
then,
man of the people.
Slightly intoxicated. He just had to watch Snow White, apparently.
Whoa.
He's a little bit unhappy.
Snow White's still better than the CFSL NFL Draft.
I see. Logan Wetzel, the AD of Clemson. Glad to have you on the show. And then our first time guest on the show, NateSnare. He is the Season 22 Fan of the Year, representing Virginia Tech. I think you're like the third or fourth guy from that locker room we've had on the show. How are you?
Not too bad. Happy to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Beard, you're not going to have to get some words out of these guys. Way too businesslike.
I mean, it all started with, hey, we need to do an audio check. And we look at Wetzel, we need an audio check. And he goes,
like, I promise I don't. I mean, Beard might bite, but I don't. Come on, guys. Show a little more energy. So, big week in the CFSL. First, true off-season week. We got the portal that's open. We're recording this on Friday, which, yes, for those who are wondering, I do have the Auburn-Michigan game on my phone right here. I'm tracking as well. And
me neither.
Nope, definitely not. Definitely not Beard. We got the coaching portal that'll be opening. We got the transfer portal that is opening. It feels kind of wrong to ask the two ADs on here how many transfers they have, so I will not do it. But I have a feeling it's going to be low for both of you.
We're just built different at Auburn.
Really? I wonder who built it.
Beard did.
Yeah. Probably the winning part. The culture part I helped with.
Oh, no, it's great. This is the for ADs, a great problem to have in hindsight is this is the second year I will not be able, that the Ninja Cap has really played a significant role in my off season.
Yeah, so here's the thing with that too, because when I was at Auburn, I didn't have a lot of transfers either. I guess we'll start there. For at least when I was there, the biggest problem obviously came then finding the right positions. Defensive tackles always tough to find. Safeties are tough to find. We got coaching portal as well. I usually had a pretty full staff, and I got the sheet right here. You might have a spot open at coach. For at least, you got one spot because it is 3 still, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean Clemson. You can answer this question too because you don't have. No, you have a spot open as well as a coaching spot.
Yeah, Wetzel, congratulations, started his branch on the AD tree.
That's actually true. You got 2 spots open.
I actually have 3. Austin Oaks, who is our offensive coordinator.
Whole staff.
He entered the transfer portal. So we're going to try to get him back. Obviously, we'd love to still have him in that spot. But yeah, it could be 3.
I was about to say I have a unique feeling of a landing spot for him already.
What do you think?
Well, where did his assistant head coach wind up?
Yeah.
Safe bet. If a Clemson player enters the transfer portal, my immediate thought is they're going to the Hawkeyes.
Interesting. I mean, you're probably right. It's funny because I've been talking a little bit to the Michigan State guys too. Obviously, after they folded, and they're like, "Oh, we're gonna go here, or we're gonna go there." It's like I don't know where I'm going. People seem to think that I know where I'm going, but I've absolutely. I know where you're going.
I was about to say I know where you're not going.
I'm not going to Auburn, and I think am I eligible for Miami? I'm not sure. I have to check.
No, you
Miami's
should be.
Right, because I was at 5 at Auburn, or 1 at Washington, 4 at Auburn, 3 at Michigan State. I should be eligible for Miami. Yeah, you're right, because I would not be able to. It was before the last time I made a player. I wasn't eligible to go to Miami.
And I've been at Auburn for 3 now.
Yeah, I know last week some of the new ADs were both kind of talking about how they thought it may be difficult bringing in these teams and I don't think that they'll struggle as much as they think they will. You've got a lot of people that are looking to move places and stuff, but you're also bringing back two teams with history. So some of the guys even that have been longer in the league may not have had an opportunity to play for those teams yet. This may be an opportunity for them to get back to those places or somewhere new. So I think that may actually benefit them in a way that some of the other teams may not.
I think if you're a new AD, you have to play it smart. I think you have to know that there's probably a chunk of Michigan State players that probably still want to play together, and there's
I can
probably a
confirm there
chunk.
are. I'll confirm
Yeah,
that. Yeah, there is a group that wants to play together.
So therefore, if I'm a new AD, I'm immediately hitting up trying to figure out what that group is, and then there's probably a chunk of Kentucky guys that want to stay together. So I mean, if you
I
can
can
land
confirm
one of
that
those,
too. Both
if
teams,
you want,
yeah.
So if you want to land a chunk of players, you can land a pretty good part of your roster, probably a significant number of ninjas too, and start out with a really good building block if you can sell it.
I mean, I guess I'll bring this back. I'll get back to Logan in a second, but Nate, I know you weren't. Oh, like I know it wasn't just you. Obviously, you have your AD and Lucci, but Virginia Tech had Cincinnati players built in, so that part is a little different than these current expansion teams. But you have one of the better models, I think, of an expansion team in the last few seasons. Season 1, you build it all together, and then what is it? Season 2, you're the ACC champs, or is it season 3 for you guys?
Season 2.
It was just season 2. I mean, yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
You've also got Brandon, or Beat It Down, and C. Lawrence, and me. We're all three on the USC team when it started up as well. So we've all had some experience on quick build-ups. We had struggled a little bit in that first year, but the second year USC ended up winning a national championship. So we kind of have taken experience from that. We've kind of worked under Moochie's style, his locker room, and what he wants, and then we've kind of
Y'all weren't on
combined
that
all
championship
of that.
team, were you?
I was.
You're the only one.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, they all left the year before that.
Right.
Yeah, so obviously it's a little bit different because Virginia Tech had a little bit of structure built in. I mean, I think that's really, I've talked to both these guys. We had them on the show. I did an interview on the website for both of them. That's really the biggest thing for these two guys is, that structure, whether it is through, getting a group of guys who are all ready to play together, or if it's just, finding the guys that have 4 teams in their past that they can't play for anymore and they want to try something new as a GT, or, if they don't have a spot as a GT. So there is some built into it, some stuff built into it. And even UNC, obviously a little bit farther back of an example, but they were more like traditional expansion team with gun. And it took them a little bit, but they made the playoffs pretty quickly. It took them a little bit to get the playoff success that they had this last season. But, there's different models to do it. There's different ways you can build the team. And for both teams, I like the effort they've put in so far. I've talked to both these coaches, obviously, numerous times as a quote-unquote media member and also on the show. So, Logan, what about you? I know you got some spots open. How are you thinking? How are you approaching this recruiting cycle?
Yeah, it's obviously going to be a little bit different. This is the first time I've done recruiting without Measy being there. Obviously learned a lot from him. He brought a lot of valuable resources to the table, just his actions that I'm definitely able to pull from. So he's going to, despite having this team that's been brought back, he's going to be running circles around a lot of other teams in the league up at Iowa. So, obviously the competition's only going to be tougher. But we're in a pretty good spot as is right now. We've only lost a few folks to transfers this season or this off season, so we're looking pretty solid. I mean, we know where our gaps are, unlike 2 seasons ago where the gaps were everywhere. So we should be able to narrow this one down and lock this one down pretty quick.
I was going to say, you talked about the coach transferring earlier. Does it mean you're getting another quarterback again, right? Or do you have the quarterback?
Bojack Merriweather, he is a huge part of our team, and he has no intention of going anywhere.
Because that was kind of funny on my end, because I kept trying, because there's 2 Clemson guys on the website, so I kept misnomering where the quarterbacks were going. And as someone who had a quarterback who immediately left as well, like, I get it. It's not fun, so. I mean, good luck to all 3 of you guys. Nate, what do you do now? Are you just a recruiting coordinator now, or they upgrade you?
Yeah, I'm still just an RC. This will be my first year kind of really getting to dive into some of the recruiting though, so that'll be fun.
Yeah, because I'm looking at the list of coaches now, and I know some of it is updated. But for example, it still shows Measy as the assistant head coach. Obviously, he is no longer the assistant head coach at Clemson. He is the AD at Iowa. So, yeah, we'll see where that goes. And I know at least of 2 or 3 other guys going into the coaching portal besides your guy, Logan. I guess I'll be coach. I will also be in the coaching portal too. So we'll see how that goes.
Oh, return to coaching.
What do you
Nice.
think? I bought a PC, not PC, a PS3, a very expensive PS3, I might add, from Mike. I'm not going to just put it to no use, So
I would have bought one.
he's selling 10 of them right now. That was the announcement.
Yeah,
But yeah, I guess you have.
I put
Not
in
for
for the lottery.
We'll see. I have a feeling you might get one.
I've got one.
I'd love to
sitting
have
in a-
one because all I've got is a PC, and I'm starting to think. I was talking to Mike the other day. I don't know how many people are experiencing the same thing, but the parity of the league, I think, is making PCs harder and harder to be accurate, simming wise. Because like a lot of times, like you could be off by 5 or 10 or whatever, and talent gap could protect you from being wrong. There's not a talent gap really anymore. I can't just out talent everybody. Like nobody can. Like there's not a team out there that just can walk onto the field and just, I've got more talent than you, so I'm going to win. So I think that's becoming a thing. I'm going to test it some if I get one of these PS3s and see for sure.
Go ahead, Nate.
I've got one sitting in a box in the garage from back when it was new, and
Yeah,
I
I got
still
one
have
back
not.
here too.
I still have not got it set up to run Sims or anything yet. That's something I need to get to at some point.
Pain in the butt, man. Honestly, part of that buying it from Mike was just so I didn't have to reset up. Because what I got back
100%.
here is it's the one that caught on fire. Like it's not really in good shape. So I could I was gonna get one and just do it myself, but having Mike set it up for me, it was worth the extra cash just not to deal with it. Plus, pretty busy outside of the league too, so just have it shipped to me. And so I got it. It's right here on the little desk thing. You guys can't see it on camera, obviously, but like it's right here. I got 2 screens, so when I'm just simming, I'll sim on one screen. I'll, do league stuff on the other or whatever, work. So happy with it. And yeah, anyone listening who wants to join the coaching portal, if you don't have a PS3 or PC or anything like that, that's how Tank got his start with me. He was just, talking to guys and getting immersed in the league. Nate, it sounds like you were pretty similar. That's sometimes how it starts, and that's all I got to do. So definitely, I'm a proponent of the coaching portal. I definitely agree with what you guys are saying too. Like, it's gonna be a lot of fun. We'll get back to that because I want to get back to the teams to watch. But Beard has been waiting very patiently for this next topic, and I won't let him wait anymore. So I'm gonna bring it up on my screen. You guys can do it as well. I think so. What was the actual before you and Ryan were arguing in the group chat, the famed Cole Mantell show group chat about this? Before that, so we had the pro draft, obviously.
Right.
I'm going to bring up the picks. We know what problem you had with it. I guess what I'm going to ask you is, obviously, Kevin Price goes number 1 overall to Tennessee. Gunnar Rice goes number 2 overall to Cleveland. And you fall to number 5 with the New York Jets and Ninja. Which, by the way, before we get into that and before you talk about it.
I've already requested a trade.
Oh, really? I mean, that's fair. It's the Jets. But 2 Auburn guys in the top 5. So I will congratulate you for that, by the way. Including maybe the last guy I recruited to Auburn that's still on your team, that's no longer on your team, in Chewy, who I really was sad that I did not get. But I'll let you go off. How about we just have you talk your piece of why you deserve to go number 5, and then we'll go from there.
I just think that the argument was made that we can see their attributes, and that those attributes guarantee that they're a better player. When I don't feel like that's true. I don't feel like, and the argument becomes, well, you had better talent surrounding you. I did. You can't blame my player for that. The staff put a good team around him. We schemed up for him, and I didn't even scheme up for him last year. Like I took a season off last year to try to help everybody else on my team be better on offense, so I could try to get more people involved. And so I had my worst statistical season as a quarterback. If I really wanted to blow the doors off, I could have ran ODU again and threw for 70 more touchdowns and broke my own record and then set the career record, but I didn't. I just feel like that we put a lot of stock into attributes that in real life a GM can't see. So I thought it was kind of crazy that we said we can't base it on statistics when we have statistics, and we also have, you can argue that they played with less talent, but that's still, at the end of the day, running quarterbacks don't do well in the NFL. You point at Lamar Jackson all you want to. Lamar Jackson has a terrible playoff record. Name one running quarterback that's been super successful.
Well, so I got two things to add on to that, and we'll let everybody else react to this first round. We'll go through it. The first thing for me is that
also Yost not being in the first round is an absolute travesty.
Oh no, that we're going to get to that because I was shocked. I was absolutely shocked about that. We're going to get to that, but before
Dallas threw a party in the second round when their name came up, and Yost was still on the board.
Oh my God! So going back to your original point, running quarterbacks in the NFL. Like Lamar is always talked about as the unicorn. Lamar Jackson also, by the way, is a pretty good passer.
Yeah.
That's like one of his biggest. That's Josh Allen is the same thing. So if we're going to talk about quarterbacks that can run it and pass it, the reason, and I agree with you, I think the statistics in this draft are so important because that's honestly, we don't have the character interviews. We can't go to the school on a private jet and look at their attributes. It's the game for me when I grade these players because I do the pre-draft grades. One, the stats, obviously, and then number two, it's how they actually look when I watch them. And it's tough to get all the in there. There was some talk about Kakoa Rivers, who went 8th in this draft as well. Like, oh, he was too far down, and well, why didn't I do it? It's just the eye test. One, in this case, the defensive line where Rivers was not. He had more TFLs, but he didn't have as many sacks, for example. Or two, just their stats basically. And so Jay Duke was up there for me. I think it was between. I can pull it back up. I don't want to lie to you on air. Let me get the actual tiers here from offense. I had Duke, Pink, and Price in tier 1. I don't specifically go into like where in that tier was. I just say that they were close enough together.
Right.
I thought they're all three our first round QBs. Turned out all three of them were first round QBs, by the way, along with Rice, obviously, and who's the fifth? I think it was Sanders. Pretty sure it was Sanders, the fifth first rounder. And so we go into that. If I was number 1 in Tennessee, I definitely would have considered Duke. I'm not saying I wouldn't have picked Price, but the reason I would have picked Price is because of his senior season and the game film that he showed there versus Duke's all-around numbers from freshman to senior season. And so I think that would be the argument I would agree with against Duke at number 1. But obviously Ryan thought differently when he took Kevin Price. So Wetzel, I'll let you go first. Your reaction to this first round.
Yeah, I mean, a little bias here. I played wide receiver with Jay Duke, arguably in Jay Duke's best season. Justin was talking about it a little earlier. The talent Jay Duke had surrounding him was much like what I saw with Tom Brady back in New England for several years. Just really loaded wide receiver core, pretty decent tight ends. Just had a lot of tools in place, but really even after we all graduated and transferred and whatnot, Jay Duke found other ways to get pretty good. I mean, Justin, unless I'm mistaken, season 21, he led the league rush yards. Is that correct? So, it kind of contradicts the argument that you have made about running quarterbacks in the NFL, but it does also tell me that Jay Duke can do more than just running, and he can do more than just passing. I think those kind of quarterbacks have worked out pretty well.
I just did it just to prove it could be done because that's all they talked about the year before that was how great it was that everybody ran. And I said, I can lead the league in rushing. Watch this.
Yeah, in which Kevin Price was not bad by any means, but he didn't have as great of a senior season, I guess, as I thought he was going to. I thought Gunnar Rice is probably who I would have traded that with. And I would have actually probably had Jay Duke go second rather than Rice, and then have Price probably go to New York if they were in need of quarterback.
Well, yeah, so here's the part of it, and we're moving on to the second round now, because here's the part of it that I don't understand. First off, actually, I'll let you get this in, Nate. You had a teammate, first time ever, Virginia Tech had a first rounder going to Tennessee at 14. I'll let you. Let me have him talk about that, and I'll get to the second round here.
I'll start by saying that the Browns of old drafted Johnny Manziel, even though he had some character issues, so we'll go ahead and get that out there, regardless of talent. But if
They
we're going
also
to
have
speak
Deshaun
on
Watson, so
And
on
Jameis.
Ahmad Williams, that guy was great for our team this year.
You saying he has character issues too? Is that why you bring it up?
No, that was quarterback. I was leaving that there. But he was huge for our team. Always putting up good numbers, always getting good receptions. I mean, the guy didn't have hardly any bad games, so it didn't matter matchups. It didn't matter how we went into it. He always found a way to implement himself into the game and be a big piece of it. So I think it's well deserved that he's a first rounder, and I know it's only our second season, but it's awesome to have a first rounder already under our belt as a team.
Alrighty. So yeah, good work on that. And actually, had another, even though it's technically the second round, Aloysius Jeffries went third pick of the second round as well. So congrats to him as getting drafted that high. I do want to move on to round two, though. I think the story of this draft is Bo Yost. I said
100%.
the best prospect I think I've ever graded for this draft since 5 seasons ago when we started this draft. Now, in the real life world, it would be 22, which would be late first, which is actually kind of where a lot of these running backs nowadays get drafted. So I kind of understand from that standpoint. And it's a little hypocritical because I was drafting 4 and I took Owen Moreland over Bo Yost. But at least for me, I feel shocked. Like at number 7, Buck Stackhouse, he's a GT too. But if Green Bay is looking for an offensive playmaker, why doesn't Bo Yost go there? They have I forget his name, the running back they just signed for Green Bay. Okay. Why not Chicago, where you can get him to pair with Caleb Williams? Why not? You can go down the list. And for Tampa, we do have a pretty good running back room. And it really is tough for me. But, I think, for me, the fact that Dallas, who did they get as well in the first? Or did they not have a first rounder? They might have traded out of the first round. The fact that they got Bo Yost is incredible to me.
I mean, Kansas City could have pulled the trigger at 20. They don't have They don't have a true. I mean, they've got Clyde Edwards-Helaire and somebody else, but they don't have a true just hand the ball to that guy.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at Las Vegas at 15 too.
Yeah.
How about Tennessee with their second pick at 14?
I definitely wouldn't have took a wide receiver. I thought they could have probably. We don't draft O linemen. Probably there. That's where they took O line.
Yeah.
But
So
the Raiders taking Sky Sanders. I really feel like that was like an ode to Las Vegas trying to take, saying they're going to take Shadir at 4.
Yeah.
It's like just a little, hey.
Well, here's the thing with Las Vegas. So Las Vegas, do they have no, I traded with them. So they come down to number 15. I understand they need to take a quarterback, and they do have a running back, I believe, over there. I think that one actually is a pretty good pick. Bo Yost, to me, was such a great talent, man. I thought there was a chance Tennessee takes him at 1. I understand you need a quarterback. I'm looking at maybe New England even at number 3 because they have a quarterback already, but they went defense, which is good to go defense, too. I'm not criticizing the Chewy Baca pick specifically, but, so many of those guys. So we go to the second round here. Bo Yost, first pick of the second round. Wyndham Carter, by the way, at number 7 to Trips for the Saints. I think it was a great underrated pick, too. What about Logan? You got any picks you want to throw on there?
Yeah, I mean, I actually thought, obviously, and you kind of talked about it, Bo Yost was drafted a little late for my liking. But, the dude was real solid. Just a shout out to some of my former teammates. I mean, Cody Higdon at Auburn going 6th in the second round. I was real happy about that.
I bet Gunn hated making that pick too.
He did. He was on the call and he was specifically mad about that, if I remember correctly.
And he's building an all Auburn defensive line there because now he has him and why did I lose his name? Oh, he got drafted 4 years ago.
Oh, Tank?
No, but I mean they do have Tank too, but hang on.
I'll let you look it up. But yeah, And adding on to that too, by the way, Percy King going at the 9th pick. I think that's your highest pick this year, right? Percy King.
Yes, that was our only pick. As a matter of fact, he was our only
Right,
graduating
so
senior.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean that was going to be my next call out as well.
And then
Which he broke records at Auburn and broke some at Clemson. So I think that was a good spot for him. Would have loved to see him go in the first round, but it was a loaded draft class.
Yeah, it was a really good offensive draft class for sure. You have Jeffries as well for Virginia Tech. Miles Andrews goes later in the second. I think you had a guy in the third as well, right? Nate?
Yeah, I believe so. And same.
Oh, Johnson,
I'll echo
yeah.
that. Yeah, I'll echo that. Bo Yost should have been a first rounder. And then both of our guys from Virginia Tech, of course, big standouts for us this year. And I'm honestly surprised that Jamarcus Simpson was the 6th receiver off of the board at his position too.
That's a funny one because his receiving numbers are obviously legendary. He's a 2-time national champion. I believe, I'm almost sure I have him tier 1. Let me just check that. Yeah, he was a solid tier 1 guy. Again, if you're going to use the equivalent to the modern NFL late round 1 wide receiver, like, Justin Jefferson's a name that comes to mind that could be a comparable. It just, it's a lofty level to meet, but Jamarcus Simpson too. Yeah, that's a good pick for another draft. I mean, Bo Yost and Jamarcus Simpson going 1-2 in round 2. That's a heck of a lot of talent going that far down. So I think I would agree with you. So, I mean, we get the later rounds too. Go ahead, Beard.
Derek Brown. So now Carolina has 2 interior D linemen.
Oh, I remember Derek Brown. That was like the best. That was like the only good player when Brian Harsin was there. Him and Bo Nix.
Yeah, we don't talk about Bo Nix. It still hurts.
So, man, I have war stories from Auburn when Bo Nix was there and Brian Harsin. Like, that was my college years, man.
I've heard it was tough.
But hey, shout out to, by the way, for you, Beard, in the 7th round, Alexander Melanishin going to my Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Of course, I had to draft Jeff's kicker. I want to shout that out because Jeff, friend of the show, I had the pick, and I was like, these kickers are going Tampa Bay. They don't really need a kicker, but what I put is, his number. I had like Alexander Melanishin. I can't spell his name, but this give me him. Just you can't spell his name. Give me Jeff's kicker. So
I think I haven't counted it, but somebody messaged me. I don't remember who it was. And I think we were Auburn had the most players taken in the draft.
Well, every player gets taken in the draft. That just means you have the most graduating seniors.
Oh, well, never mind then. That's not.
But yeah, first rounders. Texas leads with 3. Auburn, Ohio State, A&M, Texas A&M, Miami, and Kentucky all had 2. Obviously, Auburn has 2 in the top 5. Yourself and Chewy Baca. Let's see.
We've done that once before when Carnell and Ronnie came out together.
I think you're right. I'd have to look.
2 running backs on the top 5.
Yes, I think you're right. Which makes Bo Yost falling at 22 even crazier, by the way.
Yeah, Bo Yost was better than both of those guys.
But, I mean, the funny part, I think the funniest part is if you go back, and we'll move on here in a minute, but Bo Yost went, I think it was like 10 picks above his brother, DJ Yost. No, it was around. DJ Yost went closer to Bo Yost than Bo Yost went to the first pick overall, or something like that, which I think is kind of crazy.
That's wild.
And don't get me wrong, DJ Yost was a very good running back for Oklahoma, but oh my goodness. Bo Yost, what a steal for Cade and the Dallas Cowboys. Unfortunately, his real-life Dallas Cowboys, as he mentioned multiple times in the GM call that was on the draft, do not know how to draft like that. So,
yeah, did they trade? Is that official yet? I know I've heard the rumors, but have they officially traded Dak Prescott?
I don't think those were ever real. I think he's so expensive for the Cowboys right now that if they tried to trade him, the cap hit would be so bad they wouldn't be able to function. They might want to trade him, but they can't.
Somebody said I saw somewhere a news article where the Titans were trading the #1 overall pick for him. I'm like, that'd be the dumbest thing ever. You should be fired. If you trade the #1 pick for Dak Prescott, you should immediately be fired.
I've heard the Browns are looking, but that was it.
I'm just Googling. I don't see.
Well, the Browns look at any quarterback with a heartbeat.
He doesn't have a criminal record. They're not going to take Prescott.
Well, he doesn't have one that we know of.
That's the point. You have to have a known criminal conviction. I thought that was the requirement.
You give it enough time. He spent some time in Cleveland, and I'm sure he'll get there.
It'll happen.
just being in Cleveland. Okay. Oh, boy.
Surprise Ray Rice didn't resurface in Cleveland.
Oh boy. But yeah, so congratulations to everybody who got drafted. It was all the graduating seniors get drafted. I think we've spent enough time on that. Anyone else have anything to add?
Nah, I got over it pretty fast when I realized, hey, I'm arguing about a made-up article about a made-up football league.
So we'll move on then, and I guess I've kind of buried the lead here, but we do have a major award winner here, besides myself, of course, on the show from last season.
You talking about me? I won Offensive Player of the Year and AD of the Year.
Not last season.
Season 20, he loaded up season 20, but that's old news
wait.
now.
Where did my other one go? My wife rearranged my desk. I don't know where it went.
I got the ones behind me. I'm not going to be so egotistical to grab my Broadcaster of the Year trophies behind me. But Nate, you come onto the show first time on the show. Congratulations again, winning as Beard shows his glass cylinder. Congratulations again, season 22 fan of the year. Talk about the moment you realized you won. I guess to start.
Well, I'll say congrats to you as well with this podcast and your articles and stuff. I mean, you put a lot forth towards the league. I feel like what you guys do makes it easier for me, just being interactive. And I just had a lot of guys that I started to build friendships with this year, and just spending time in there, cutting it up with everybody, a good locker room that kept me active in there as well. And then I kind of found how I could contribute to the team this year with graphics and stuff like that, so having that as well kept me involved. So I know I've said it in the chat, but I wasn't even going to be in the league this year. I joined the football league on PlayStation with Mike, and he approached me and asked why I wasn't in the league this year, and after a few conversations with him, he convinced me to come back and just try it out, dip your toes back in. So it just turned into an investment in building relationships with guys, and just had a good time being around everyone.
Aren't you glad you did it?
I am.
You'll let Beard ask the questions for me. Why not?
Orange. Hell yeah.
Oh boy. Look,
Hey,
you may have
that
traumatized
that
me on the
VT
field.
orange.
VT does have orange.
They just stole
There's
the
a lot of
orange.
orange in this podcast. I mean,
Yep. Mm-hmm. I mean, technically, I represent USF now because I'm a free agent, but
well, you were green before that.
Yeah. Well, USF's green. They got green and gold. They also play in the Buck Stadium with a half full crowd, but we don't have to talk about that.
They only sell no upper deck.
Well, we filled the upper deck when Alabama came to town.
And almost won, didn't you? Didn't y'all lead for a little while?
It was a 2-hour. I wish I went to that game. 2-hour lightning delay. We almost win that game. Nick Saban looked like he's about to blow up. His brain's about to blow up on the sideline in 100-degree heat. It was the funniest shit ever.
I remember the camera was messed up for that one too. They were up in outer space or something. It was weird.
They only had the for the longest time. They only had the overview. You were watching it from above.
It's the NFL Buccaneer Stadium. It's not like it's some middle of nowhere stadium. It was, I don't know. The other part of it too is I walk into class the next day after that game, and there was a 200-person class. It was some social sciences class or something like that, and there happened to be a USF football player just hanging out in there. He's obviously tired from getting his ass kicked by Alabama basically, and literally the teacher comes in. This is one of the funniest stories from my time at USF. And she goes, well, that was a close game, obviously. Raise the hands in the room. And this is the Monday after the game. Raise the hands in the room. Anyone here on the USF football team or part of the student manager or anything like that? And this big offensive lineman raises his hand, kind of embarrassed in front of 200 people. He's like, round of applause. You guys lost, but you lost with class. And I just thought, that guy must be dying inside that he lost by 5 points to Nick Saban's Alabama, and he's getting clapped for it. I can't imagine the humiliation of having to sit through that and guys, we lost. Why are we clapping?
He's gonna be telling his grandkids about that one day.
Yeah, no.
We lost to Alabama on a last-second field goal. You know how those stories get. They just
yeah. But anyhow, off topic here. Back for Virginia Tech. Nate. So Nate Skinner, obviously you win Fan of the Year. Last season, Venom did this as well with USC. So USC won Team Spirit. USC's Jameson Gold, Venom, wins. You win Fan of the Year. Team Spirit as well for your team. Obviously a big part of that. The last time that happened before that, these last 2 seasons, I believe, I'm looking this up now. Was it Yost? No, it was Oklahoma State, right? Yeah, season 15, Ryan Moreland. So that's not only did you win Fan of the Year, that's pretty rare company. So talk a little bit, your team wins Team Spirit. You're a big part of that. Talk a little bit about that part of it.
Well, we had 2 guys up for Fan of the Year, so I think that just goes to show how
Pyro.
involved the locker room was.
I was gonna say
right?
that makes the win even more impressive.
But we had the big thing was Moochie was trying to bring guys in that were active, that put a good face out there for the team. Of course, you want stats, you want to show good stuff on the field, but for a startup, his big priority was building a good locker room. So, it's a testament to show what he's done with that, and that his process has worked, and the results have came along with that too. Everyone in the locker room's kind of fed off of each other. When you get one guy upgrading, it's not just one guy. So if you can get everybody working together like that, and everybody spending time in league chat, or going through the league content, or in games, or whatever it may be, just being active, it's a lot easier to buy into the programs whenever you've got that much activity going on across the league.
Yeah, it really is a testament to Moochie, and we've had him on the show obviously before, and Pyro, by the way, too. Which, shout out to Pyro. I think he's been joked on a lot, but he gets a nomination as well. We've talked about it a lot. How active locker rooms are so important in this league. Last week we talked to the ADs. What's the most important award for you to win, or the most important way to build your team? It's always the culture. And in my articles, actually interviewing both the new Nebraska AD and the new Iowa AD, they both said culture is a big part of what they do and how they build their team or want to build their team. So, it's hard to achieve. It's easy to talk. Words are easy. Actions are harder, but we'll see how it goes from here. And again, congratulations, Virginia Tech. Fan of the Year, well-deserved for you, Nate, and obviously your team Spirit. Win the ACC as well, and I think your AD, didn't he win AD of the Year? Who won AD of the Year?
No, he was a nominee, though.
No, Ware got it, right. We talked about this. So, yeah, gets nominated as well. I don't think I voted. I might have voted for him. I don't remember. It was 4 weeks ago. I don't remember what I ate for breakfast. But, yeah, congratulations. We'll move on. And I guess we'll talk about, so the archetypes are not out. We were talking about this before the show. We can't talk about the archetypes because we don't have them yet, but we do have the GTs. Let me pull up the GTs here again. And I can post them in the chat if you guys need to look at them too.
Should just be right under announcements, shouldn't it?
Yep.
Yeah, it's under announcements.
Like it's like the last second. It's actually further up than I thought it was.
It's the first picture.
It's like 3 or 4.
So
anybody else, every time you see Key Gadget, your brain reads it as Cade Padgett.
Yes. Yes. So we have 4. And again, as someone who is a GT, you can buy these and you can upgrade afterwards. But we have 4 GTs coming to the league. We have the first one is the quarterback, which is probably No, I think the Baby Frost probably is going to be sought after. But the quarterback's going to be.
I think the human highlight's going to be the one.
So?
Oh yeah.
We'll get into it. The quarterback is a balanced QB, 95 overall, 6'1", 208. The only thing that he doesn't have is trucking. He's got good throw power, that almighty 92 throw power, which I don't believe in, but if you like 92 throw power, he's got it. 87 throw accuracy, 99 stamina. He's got good running stats as well. You have the Key Gadget, which is basically pick your position, choose your own adventure. Halfback, linebacker, cornerback, safety. Mid-90s for all of them. Who is it?
I said playoff 4.
You probably
all
could.
throughout the season.
You probably could.
That's about like my guy, yeah.
Yeah. And then you have the Baby Frost, which is probably my favorite. We'll get into it, but I loved Isaac Frost when he was in the league. I think someone can build that Isaac Frost build again and just destroy everything. And then the human highlight, which is Beard's favorite, wide receiver or cornerback. My next question, Beard, was going to be what everyone's favorite one was. If you could pick one of these to build on your team, which one would you want?
Human highlight.
Beard, why do you want the human highlight? You don't have your quarterback to throw to him anymore.
Because that 95 speed is redonkulous. You get to start out with 99 agility, 99 acceleration, and 99 awareness. I mean, and 99 elusiveness, 99 ball carrier vision. So really, all you got to spend money on is your catching. If you're going to be a cornerback, you spend on man coverage and zone coverage, but they're already pretty high. They're mid to high 80s. Your play recognition's already high. Your pursuit's already 95. I mean, you just start out doing whatever you want to do, and just, I mean, it's just ridiculous. It's a build that's ready to play like day one with no upgrades.
Yeah, I'm curious about that strength, but can we upgrade strength still? I forget.
No.
I gotta look it up. You can't do it.
But you don't really need it as a wide receiver or corner.
Yeah, you don't usually need it. It's one of those like lesser attributes that I don't think you'll need. And I agree with you. It's a very good one. I'll go to Nate because I haven't talked to him first yet. Nate, which one of these 4 do you want for your team?
I'd probably go with the DT, defensive end. I mean, it's a hard position to fill. But I will say, the human highlight, that reminds me a lot of Roman Ware, but upgraded, which is crazy to say. But that, like he said, the speed is going to be unmatched. That's not something that anything really compares to. So it'll definitely be interesting to see how that gets utilized this upcoming season.
It's actually interesting because my pick would be Baby Frost DTD, and that's just because I watched him wreck everything in the league. Him and the Imam Porter from Wisconsin. But the human highlight, you kind of mentioned it. The idea, who is the cornerback? You were on that team for USC who set the single season interception record. It was I can look it up, but it was because that it does remind me of that build. Shoot, let me pull it up. The All-Americans from season 20.
Former defensive player of the year, Chewy Baca, doesn't have stats that good.
Jordan Holt, that's who it was. That's what it reminds me a lot of. And he doesn't have those stats either, but Jordan Holt, and I guess you could even say, Chewy Baca is another one you can put up there. Really, really good stats. Logan, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, key gadget, like I had mentioned, real similar to my current player. Like, I have a GT, and it covered all the same positions, except I'd say this one is even better than what mine started out as. I mean, if I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, wow, like I want this person to be a halfback if at all possible, even though, like y'all said, you can really plug them in wherever you want them to. I mean, you're already at 96 on ball carrier vision and elusiveness, and then your break tackle's already at 86. That's pretty strong right off the bat. I mean, that's I think it's going to the 91 overall there. I really like key gadget, and I think Justin kind of talked about it. Choose your adventure and plug and play. You're about ready to go.
I agree with you, but I almost want to see this guy at safety just because of how hard they are to recruit sometimes. Give this guy, boost his man coverage and zone coverage, and have him be your number one safety. Or if you're in a 4-2-5, have him play nickel even.
My question is, what's his carry?
Is it
it's really important. It's not on there.
That's a good question, actually.
That is a good question. My carry is not super high, but it hasn't had a huge impact.
If his carry's up in the low 80s, even low 80s, if you can get your carry up, that's pretty tough. It's pretty tough.
And it's a different style too, because Bo Yost and Taylor James are more. I think they're bigger. Like they're more. Mm-hmm. They have the speed, but they're a little bit more toughness as well. This guy's a little bit smaller, so this would be more of a speed back if I had to guess.
Oh yeah, no, he's a speed back. But yeah. I would think you would immediately try to change him out of speed
and put him
get him either to balanced or power.
Yeah, that John Money quarterback it's not quite as similar as my guy because my guy's a little bit more throw power, but it's very efficient. I feel he's kind of almost like I guess Wyndham Carter is maybe a good comparison, except better obviously in terms of stats. Just the efficiency is really what's interesting me on that quarterback build. Even though all four of us say that that's not our favorite build. If you add him to the league, that might be actually the expansion teams. That might be a guy to go after because the expansion teams, yeah.
I think all
As
the
a-
quarterbacks, all the GTs are better now than they were when we first started. I think Mike will even tell you that.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I would say as a corner, you're saying that quarterback build may compare to yours. If that's the case, he may become one of my new favorite quarterbacks.
The funny part is, so you guys have a quarterback still, right, for the senior season?
Yeah.
Didn't I have better stats than Saint Major this season? Like in the
Yeah,
regular season at least?
But the 3 interception game that you threw in
Oh
week
yeah,
2,
no, I completely bottled. That
it
was
just-
an easy win for Michigan State. Though I completely, me, not the team, bottled. You can make fun of me all you want for that. Yeah, I think I had better passing numbers. I think I had less interceptions than Major.
Nope.
No, I didn't. How
No,
many
you did
interceptions
not.
than Major. Major had
You
19
actually,
last time.
you actually were not better than him. He
Yeah.
had more passing yards, more yards an attempt, more
Let's see
yards a
this.
game, more touchdowns, less interceptions, less
Okay,
sacks.
no. In the regular
5
season,
interceptions
in the regular season,
against Texas too.
I had Oh, he did?
Yeah.
Shit.
That was a rough one.
Cole had the great news for you though, Cole. Interceptions wise, you're steadily increasing every
No, but we're talking about the regular
year.
season. Before I had the 6. Oh yeah, no. Look, we've had multiple conversations on the show about my quarterback. The funny, maybe not funny part. I don't think Rev likes
GGs.
this. But what do you mean with GGs?
I'm leaving them out before the podcast is over.
Oh, I
GGs.
see. Okay.
You don't get that joke? Come on, that was funny.
I know it was. It was funny.
Wetzel's looking at his phone, not even paying attention.
He's looking at the Auburn score because that's what I thought you were looking at.
No,
that
I was
is
saying-
what I'm looking at.
I was saying GGs because of other things.
Oh,
Oh, now it clicked.
yeah. So, but shout out to Cunnington, by the way. Regular season, 21 interceptions, which I think is incredible. But that's the only point I was going to make. So we'll move on then from that. I think these GTs are going to be a lot of fun. We'll see where they go. And we'll go right into recruiting. So you got 4 GTs. Forget how many of them are left. Obviously, I don't want to, again, talk church and state, right? You want to keep that even. But I'm going to be obviously in the portal as well as a GT. I'm looking at these recruiting stats. I'm just going around. So you can't choose your own team. I'm going to make that rule. But one team you're interested to see how their recruiting offseason goes. And we've already kind of talked about Nebraska and Iowa too. So maybe don't choose those guys. We'll talk about them in a minute. But those non-expansion teams, who do you think is going to have a really critical offseason here? And I'll start with Nate because I want to. And I can do that. It's my show.
You're the host.
I'm going to take the easy answer here, but it's also honest, and I'm going to say Clemson. You lose your
Damn.
assistant head coach. You may be losing players because of that. You were on, I would say, a huge growth throughout this season. So to kind of see, the buy-in throughout the season, how that's going to translate through the off season, as well as with what's going on with the new teams coming in, I think that'll be real interesting to keep an eye on.
Alrighty. Well, how do you feel about that, Logan?
It's fair call out. I mean, the good news with what he's saying is that we only lost one senior. It wasn't. I mean, obviously losing Percy King to graduation is unfortunate. It hurts, but it's the circle of life, I guess you can say, in CFSL. But no, otherwise, we're gonna be okay. I mean, we only lost 4 others. Otherwise, so we should be in pretty good shape. Obviously, the 4 that we are losing are pretty big players, but it's not to say we couldn't do it without them. I mean, beginning of season 21, I came in and there was only 3 or 4 players at Clemson when I took over. So, like I said, we know where our holes are now, at least, and that's talking about on the field and off the field. And it's really not that many. It's just who we're losing, I guess, is the biggest part to that.
Yeah, and actually, I'll give you the chance here. So now you get to choose a team that's not yourself or Iowa and Nebraska. Who do you want to see the most? How their offseason goes?
Yeah, it's Alabama. They lost several seniors, and gotta think they may have one or two go to transfer. I don't know. Ware's pretty good at retaining folks, but he was talking to me a while back, like, "Oh man, I need this, I need this, I need this," and they're coming off a great season. I'm a little shocked they didn't win the whole thing, but nonetheless, huge momentum shift, for Alabama. Ware gets pretty creative come recruiting time. It's going to be interesting to see what Alabama does and how quick they can be back, I guess you could say. I think it's possible to be back as early as next season to where they were. I'm just not banking on it right now, but ask me again in about a week and a half, 2 weeks, and I can give you a more certain
I'm
answer.
sure. Yeah, Ware is one heck of a recruiter. I think he'll be all right. But yeah, so you have this talent. I think it's a great answer because you have the talent moving on. You still have Johnny Ray Davis. He's going to be a senior. You got Kryzen Mai as a 4-star, one of your best players, period, on the team right now as a junior. I think it's a good answer, and we'll see how it goes. We'll have Ware probably on the show by then to rebut as well. Beard, you've waited patiently, it looks like. Can't choose Auburn. Who you choosing?
Yeah, which is a travesty. I really thought we'd get called out because I have 15 scholarships to hand out.
I could call you out. I mean,
you could theoretically, I guess. I think it's kind of one of them we've already talked about, so I won't call them out. But for me, I'm torn between either picking Notre Dame or Tennessee.
Damn it, you stole mine. I was going to take Tennessee.
I'll let you take Tennessee. I'll take Notre Dame then.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
As well. Yeah,
so for me, it's we've seen Ninja in his was semi-successful in the MAC. He spent 2 seasons there, and then came in and took over Notre Dame. Notre Dame was already, I think they were in very similar shape as Clemson was when Wetzel took over. So he had to build it from the ground up. It just hasn't come to fruition for him yet. I think in 3 seasons he's won 1 game, maybe 2.
He won this year.
Yeah,
I don't know about previous
just
seasons.
won
I know
this
he won
year,
a game.
right?
Yeah, he won a game this year. I don't know.
Yeah, so he's won 1 game in 3 years, which, not saying anything, we've had other ADs do very similar. But at some point, that step has to be made, and I feel like this is a make or break year for them. Like if he makes that step, because they have a bunch of guys who are pretty active. Like they have some guys that are really active in league chat. We see them all the time. You got like the whole Perez family apparently is on that team.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's what I'm really interested with Notre Dame is how many Perez's stay on board.
Yeah. Well,
how many Perez's
or do they
have?
go get more Perez's? Like
if you
see a Perez, they're going to Notre Dame.
If you see 3 Perez 5-stars show up in the league chat in like the next few weeks, Notre Dame they're going to Notre Dame. They have to.
100%. But I think it's one of those things like, not that it's no shade to him. It just gets really monotonous when you're constantly on the beating end of games and seasons, and it's just really hard. Like it's hard to get up in the morning and go, they want a sim today. It just kind of gets tough. So it's just kind of one of those grab yourself by the bootstraps. Let's see what Notre Dame does this offseason. It seems to me like Ninja has every year gotten a little bit better about his presence, like in league chat and stuff. So I feel like this may be the year he really takes that step and actually gets Notre Dame out of the cellar and starts moving them towards putting Clemson in the cellar.
What? We were like middle of the pack in the ACC this year. What are you talking about?
I just had to take a shot. It was just there.
Yeah, it can't be Florida State or Miami. It has to be Clemson.
It has to be Clemson.
I see. So here's the thing I'll say. Notre Dame does have maybe the toughest conference now. And we have the 4 horsemen in Virginia Tech, UNC, Florida State, Miami. And you got Clemson, to their credit, coming up as well. I mean, that's a tough schedule for them.
Well, but
I don't interject for just a second. I don't know about UNC because they were next to last in the ACC this season. Like I don't.
Yeah, but they made it further than any other ACC team in the playoffs.
I'm contractually obligated to not shit on them because they murdered our team. So that's what I'm gonna say.
And they pay his paycheck.
Yeah. No, what do you mean they paid my pay? Oh no, Mike doesn't. Mike pays my paycheck, not UNC.
Well,
and for the record, my former head coach and Pack's on that team, and I have full license to make fun of him as much as I want.
So. Hey, Pack is a legend.
you brought it up, and it's something I'd like to get to. Maybe one day. It may not be this podcast, but I'd love to love for you to get into and dive into. When was the last time that one conference was the best conference for multiple seasons?
It's probably the SEC a few seasons ago.
No, we only had it for one season. We weren't the best conference the year I went undefeated the first time. We were the better conference the year I went undefeated the second time. But
I
it was
still
like
think when I was AD of the SEC, there were multiple times. But then again, there's only two conferences. It was the SEC and Big Ten back when I was.
I mean when we in the four
Yeah.
conference model, it seems like every year the team that was the best conference last year is it shifts off and they take a step back.
Except for the Big 12.
Nobody believed that.
I mean, nobody believed that.
Nobody. It was just USC.
Big 12 with the chaos? I was talking about the Big 12, not the Big 10.
I was just kidding. I was just
I
was in the Big 12.
We were talking about
The
two
Big-
different things there.
The Big 12 has never been. I tried to pretend like we were when I was at Texas, and we were not the best conference.
That's what I'm saying. It's always the most chaotic conference. It's good. It's good for the sport. It's just it's hilarious.
Who's gonna win? Flip a coin.
It's great. So you talk about Notre Dame, which I agree with you. The 3 stars, we'll see how many they keep there. That's the important part over there. Tennessee, they took that next step. Tennessee for so long was at the bottom of the SEC. They get themselves off the mat.
Were they? I thought they still finished at the bottom.
No, they beat Kentucky.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
The second that they beat a team in the SEC, that team folded, for the record.
Talk about a rags to riches or riches to rags story.
Well, when you change the AD at the end of the offseason, that doesn't really help either. I would add that. But going back to Tennessee here, you have Sterling Verdugo. You got him for one more season. Kelby Fulton, maybe my favorite freshman in the SEC this season. I talked about him a lot. I was writing the SEC blog. You have some seniors graduating. You have one of the smaller rosters still in the CFSL. You have the room to build. I don't think he has a GT on that team. Am I correct on that?
I don't
I
think
have
so
to
either.
check. I don't believe so.
No, his best 2 players graduated, didn't they?
Well, yeah, but I'm trying to figure out because Verdugo's not a GT, I don't think.
No, he's not. Neither was
So-
Ace.
No, you're right. I want to see if he gets a GT. Like maybe he gets that Frost GT and adds that to that as the defensive tackle with Brock Vanderslice, who's also a freshman. Like I want to see some kind of GT. I think he needs a big recruiting win this offseason, but that's maybe my pick. I'll also shout out Auburn just for you, Beard, because I do think you're gonna have to find a quarterback. You can't. This is not me being. I'm not doing anything because I can't play for you, but like you got to find that quarterback, man. Figure that out, and then you got a few wide receivers as well. You got to pick up as well.
I
think
got
put-
15 spots. What do you mean? I got more than half the roster. I need people
Yeah.
everywhere.
Basically, yeah. I don't know if you have any transfers either, but yeah. you
Yeah, I
a
got
lot
a
to fill.
couple. I got caught by the Ninja Cap this year.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think we had
Still
that
worse
problem.
for you.
Well, if we still existed, Michigan State would have solved that problem. But yeah, well, UNC.
I mean, you
sent-
kind of do
sent-
exist. You're Nebraska now.
Not
No,
really.
I guess
think
you would be the Hawkeyes. You'd be Iowa.
technically the Hawkeyes take our place. I don't think we're on the Hawkeyes roster. I think officially
No,
we are
no.
dead, and
Yeah,
Iowa's
they-
a true expansion.
Yeah, they're both true expansions. He didn't carry anybody over.
Yeah, it's not like like we were talking about earlier, the Cincinnati to Virginia Tech. That I don't think is going to count. All right, so we got some time here, and I know a few people in this podcast game show wanted to hear some questions asked. Looking at you, Beard. Cough, cough. We won't have all of them.
I feel like the
And
anonymous
some of them I
questions
already
should be
asked. We're not at it's in the form. You cannot ask the anonymous question.
The audience wants what the audience wants.
The audience does not want it. We are not asking that question. So for Moochie, he already asked this. He already answered this. So I'll just say Moochie, he was asking about culture and what gets people to buy into the league. He also says, I'm honored to have you on the team, buddy, going towards Nate. So that's your AD shouting you out. Horns or not horns? I always get the two confused. Was asking about the player acquisition and all that. I mean, we kind of spent the entire podcast on that, so I'm not going to ask that question to you guys. Oh, yeah, how is recruiting going, guys? We can't recruit yet, so sorry about that.
If recruiting's going good, that's not good for you.
If I'm getting recruited right now, that means that like those 80s are getting kicked out of the league, right? So, and then
I see what you did there.
Yeah. What did I do?
I'm talking about somebody asking the recruiting question. How's recruiting going?
Wasn't it your guy? No, who asked
No,
about it?
it wasn't me.
No,
I was the
him.
anonymous.
Were you? Oh, yeah, that makes about sense. I thought you. So you said earlier that your coach, Brian, Dominic, another guy who was on the show. Well, he asked what two teams you see the biggest turnaround. We already kind of talked about that a little bit. Let's see what else we got here. Well, this is fun. And Nate, I don't know if you can answer this question. We're going to ask it from Roggy.
Oh, God.
Individual, not team, which recruiter is your biggest rival or pain in the ass when it comes to recruiting? And Beard, I will start with you because I think the answer is not where, which I would have guessed.
No, it's not. It's actually my own tree. Recruiting against Tom.
Yeah.
Like it's a constant. Like if you and Tom are going after the same dude, you can't even go to bed at night. You have to set alarms to wake up every 30 minutes to text those recruits and make sure, hey, we're good, right? How you doing, buddy? You all right? Because Tom will just he just sticks around. He's like a bad odor. He just sticks around and you can't get rid of him. And I love him. I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean Tom is if you're in a recruiting battle with Tom, you better bring your A game because if you don't, they're going to Florida State.
What about you, Logan?
Yeah, it's the answer. It's a little historic. Wasn't so bad this past season, but there was a little bit. Aaron Ike up at Michigan. It's I don't think he's as bad of a guy as we probably make each other out to be, but all that stems back to recruiting. I mean, season 20, Clemson, like I said earlier, we had almost no team, so we're going after anybody and everybody. And I guess it just
if they breathe, they're coming to Clemson.
Yeah, it just so happened like we had no choice, or we just weren't going to have a full roster. Like it was going to be one or the other. So it just so happened Michigan was also in the predicament of needing a bunch of the players that we wanted, and they got it was like a Sunday night at like 11 p.m. They got T. Jackson, who we wanted, who Beard is familiar with, and then we got Rontavius Yankins, who they wanted. Also like 11 p.m. or midnight, and then like all of a sudden like nobody's been talking in league chat, and then at like 12:01 a.m. bam, and it's just like a freaking free for all in the league chat, and like Aaron Ike and I are just going back and forth, and so are our whole rosters. It's just a whole mess, and it's been a disaster ever since. Honestly, every time I talk to the guy, it just becomes a freaking World War III. Like it's just, oh my god.
Oh, if that's what we're going off of for who our biggest pain in the tail is, mine is Tennessee.
Well,
yeah, but he's better now. You're talking about historical. Well, I'm not in the AD boardroom. I hope he's doing better. Nate, what about you?
I would just say, I mean, I know how, not from the inside, of course, but I know how Moreland and Ware both kind of run their ships, and they know what they're doing. They have a formula. It works well. So, I mean, anytime you're competing against one of those guys, they've got their formula dialed. Beard's the only one that I've ever seen that runs 4 computers during recruiting. So,
it's not 4 computers. It's just 4 screens.
4 screens. So that adds a whole new factor into it. But
it's actually up to 5 screens now.
There's a lot of ADs that have a lot of good experience, and they all kind of take their own approach, and there's a couple of them that really have it dialed in. So anytime you're in a battle with those guys, you really got to be on your game if you're going to try to pull someone from them.
You know what the funny part is because you kind of bring that up. So granted, at me, it's 4 seasons ago now, or 3, but for me, whenever I was going up against Grin or Ware or, some of these other great 80s, it definitely was a battle. For me, the pain in the ass part of it, I think it was Venom. And I think Venom would agree with me because I got some of his guys too. When Venom was at Florida and I was at Auburn, we hated each other on the field, and then we would go into off-season. We'd always be going after the same guys. I think Tank almost went to – it was either Florida or Georgia. There's a few guys that we went after. And he's a very, very good recruiter. He's the fan of the year previously. He's a very good coach as well. Nothing but nice things to say about. Even if he doesn't have nice things to say about me, I have nice things to say about him. But that was my biggest pain in the ass when it came to recruiting. So I like that question, Rocky. Congratulations, you get my question of the week award. You actually know how to write a question in a complete sentence. Good work. Um, Logan asks, by the way, this is for Wetzel before we're finished here. If Wetzel had to pick an Auntie Anne pretzel as his favorite, which would it be and why is it cinnamon and sugar? I thought I'd ask that to you specifically. So
Oh man, the cinnamon sugar pretzel of any kind is the move. I mean,
With the cream cheese icing.
I'm not a huge cream cheese fan, but I hear you, and I'm not opposed to it. Okay, so like I
this
don't
is why
hate it.
he went to Clemson. He got. This is the reason that he left.
I mean, he also likes chili on pasta, so.
Yeah,
Ooh,
Skyline
ooh.
chili, guys. Skyline chili. All right.
We might have to talk about banning him now too.
Hey,
He's
Uncle
better than
Connie.
Cade. Cade Padgett thinks all chili's terrible. You're not in the AD boardroom. Neither one of y'all are. But Cade comes in there. We're making fun of Logan for like it's Skyline chili, and Cade comes in and says, "Hot take: all chili sucks."
Hot take: if you don't have a cinnamon roll with your chili, it's not really a good bowl of chili.
Oh boy.
But that's what Skyline's for. Is they
Yeah.
put cinnamon in it.
Alrighty. Well, Swaggy had one more question before I get too deep into the food conversations, and it's the last question. We'll get to it today. I'm not getting to your question, Beard. Sorry, not sorry. Swaggy,
Doesn't make it not true.
No, it does make it true.
You're right. It does make it true. It's on camera now.
I see. I have to read the anonymous question again to see what I've just admitted on air. I don't care about that. That's fine.
See?
That's fine. So, Swaggy, do you feel like the spread between offense and defensive players are equal in terms of skill level? And by this, I mean, I think he means ratings. Like, do you think that the ratings difference between offense and defense in this league is even? And if not, which side of the field would you think has a bit of an advantage in this league? I think it's pretty even. I think it's a lot more even. I think in the steroid era, it was very, I wouldn't say very heavily, but it was very tilted either towards offense or that front seven. I think the cornerbacks really suffered previously, and I think it's much more equal now. But I'm interested, Beard, to hear what your opinion on that is.
I would say no. I'd say it leans offensively. And it's not necessarily the fact that you don't have like 99s on both sides. There's just something about the fact that a 99 cornerback or a 99 safety can just still get absolutely demolished by any rating wide receiver on the field. Like it just, I don't know what happens. I don't know if the game just freaks out or what, or if it just really schemes it really well. But like you could be a 99. You can look at like a 99 corner and he's getting burned by like an 84 wide receiver, and you're like, what?
That's a problem that goes. I think that's a game problem more than though.
Yeah.
That's been gone back since I was season 7. That was a problem.
But
yeah,
that would be my imbalance. Ratings wise, I think there's 99s everywhere.
Yeah. What do you think, Logan?
I'm aligned with Beard on this. I'm an offensive-minded coach, but just about every team that I have been a part of had a much higher offensive rating. And I think my theory on that kind of goes to sort of like what you were talking about earlier. There's some positions, especially on defense, that we seem to have a little bit of a shortage of, or just a lack of interest. I guess a decent way to put it. Defensive line, I think, is where some of that starts. And it's hard to come by a really high-level line or high-rated defensive line player, and I think therefore that just naturally brings down the defensive overalls a little bit. Otherwise, I think if you take the defensive line out of the equation, defense, it could be the same, or defense could have even a small advantage.
All right, Nate, you got to answer this question.
Yeah, I feel like it's offensive leaning, but I think part of that is one, it's just the league. 2, your offensive players know their plays. They're the ones running the routes. They know their routes better than a defensive back. So, I mean, that's just kind of standard. As far as player creation goes, I feel like a lot of guys would probably lean offensively. Everyone wants to be that touchdown guy. On defense, your biggest play may be a tackle sometimes, so I think everything kind of leans offensively, but we saw a lot more good defensive games this year than we did in my time of the steroid era. Those were always high-scoring games. That's what everyone wanted to see. So, I mean, we're still getting high-scoring games now, but we've had some really good defensive battles. Sometimes they may only be a quarter or a half, but I mean, we did have some that were full-length games of defensive battles this season.
Yeah. So I mean, there's that part of it too, and I think that goes more into like just the game of football in general. In the last 20 years, has become much more offensively focused. That might not even be an NCAA or CFSL issue. That might just be a football issue, you know. But I do agree with you. I think there is arguments. I mean, we can argue about that all night. I think it is something we should look at. I think, you know, I don't know what the fix is. I think there isn't really maybe a fix to be made. You just scheme better, right? Maybe that's the fix. If you're getting burned, switch, you know, playbooks 3-4, 4-2-5. I was always a big proponent of the 4-2-5, but now with more running backs, maybe you go 4-3. I know Venom likes the 4-3. I think it's the 4-3 that he loves. So we'll see. And that's about all we got time for as well. So thanks for the questions, guys. We have 30 seconds as usual at the end for each coach. You guys are all recruiters, so you get a 30-second recruiting pitch. That's your thanks from me for being on the show for an hour and 10 minutes, 11 minutes. I'll let the fan of the year go first. You got 30 seconds. I do time you. I'll ban you if you go over 30 seconds, Nate. You should know this if you've watched the show. Not really, but 30 seconds. Go ahead. Talk about Virginia Tech, why you should go to Virginia Tech next season.
Virginia Tech, as you can see, you know, 2 Fan of the Year nominees. We had a Team Spirit award that came home with us. We took the ACC this season, so we're building big things in the locker room. We're building big things on the field. So I think we're kind of really starting to click on all gears, and I think rolling into next season, I think things are just going to keep getting better.
That's 27 seconds. Pretty good. Logan, you've been on this show before. You know how to do it. 30 seconds, talk about Clemson and your team this offseason, man.
Yeah, so obviously we've been on the rise since I arrived at Clemson in season 21. I really built a strong foundation the past couple of seasons, coming off a playoff appearance, first one for Clemson since season 16. So a lot to be proud of, a lot of things going on in the locker room, obviously, that folks can't see. We'd love for you to get in there and be able to see it and join us for it.
All righty. And Beard, you're the last one. Last but not least. I will say this. You've done a better job at Auburn than I have already, so I'll give you props for that. But talk about why anyone but me, because I'm not eligible, can go to your team next season.
I mean, it's hard to argue against coming to Auburn. I think we're like 21-6 in the last 3 seasons, and 4 of those losses came last season. So we're really good at just building great teams with great players. I mean, when your biggest issue is the fact that you've built too many good players that you have to cut some because you're over the league cap for good play or what we consider good players, why do you not want to go somewhere where the coach can build you into that?
Good to know. I'm proud of you, buddy, and I'm proud of all 3 of you. Thank you again for jumping on the show. Podcast 32 of the Cole Mantell Show. We'll figure it out there. We'll end it up here and Beard having some fun. This is a fun show. I think we all 3 of you guys should get back on here. I'm not going to ban anyone today. I'll be nice.
Yes.
I would like to add one note. I would like, if we can get Virginia Tech called Virginia Tech or VT, because the Vatek just drives me crazy. Vatek drives me more crazy than our orange drives Moreland and Big Murph.
I was going to say, didn't you steal UVA's orange anyway? Isn't that the history of that?
I don't know. It's a burnt orange.
I
I
know
the maroon came from Chicago.
Well, I was about to say the color choice was because they were the only at the time. It may still be true, but at the time they were the only school in the country with those 2 colors together.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, like I said, I got a cousin that goes there, so I had fun with him. I would say they're top 5 of my favorite schools just because, you know, I've been to a few of their games. They lost both of them, by the way. So
continue to say Vatek to get Nate angry.
Sounds good. All right, well, have a good night, guys. That's a pretty good hour 15 even. I thought that was pretty good. So enjoy your weekend, guys. This will come out on Sunday, and we'll see you guys next week. Have a good one, guys.
Thanks for having us.